Hello, this is your grandma. I am making my chicken and noodles today. I want to pass this on to you kids. So when it comes Christmas time and I'm in the home someplace toddling around, you can make your own chicken and noodles. I'm going to make a dozen eggs because I think I have 9 bags of chicken and noodles to make for you guys. So I'm going to start cracking eggs. And I want to show you a little hint. Rachel Ray said this works, and we're going to see. If you drop a little eggshell in your egg, she says to take another eggshell and it draws it to it. I'm going to have to write to Rachel and say, don't work. Anyway, we tried. There you go, Rachel. Okay, I'm going to bust a dozen eggs in here. Guess what, kiddies? I got an eggshell. Let's see if it works. It did. Well, I'll be darned. Rachel wasn't wrong. Okay, there we go. This many, I don't know how to tell you how much salt, but this is a batch of noodles, so I'm going to throw that in. I suppose that's about a tablespoon for a dozen. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to add a little milk, and I don't know what that does, but it does help make them tender so they don't dry, and that's not very much, but it makes a difference. A lot of people, if they want their noodles to be real yellow, that's because they added yellow food coloring, not because they had a lot of yolks. So let's try a little bit. We'll just try it. See what happens. This is old food coloring. Whoa, look at there. The yellow noodles. And now we're going to start adding some flour. And where'd my cup go? Here it is. And you just add, keep adding flour till it gets to this stage where you can roll it out. So with this many noodles, I'll be adding quite a bit of flour. I could run the mixer in this a little bit to help. Now, the photographer is covered with noodle splatters, as am I. By the time I'm done with this, I will have flour on the floor, on me, on my face, all over everything, but it's worth it. All right, now we're going to add some more flour. Now I'm going to go a cup at a time so I don't get too much. And I'm going to take a little taste to see if it's salty enough. Yep. You don't want it too salty because your broth will be salty and then it might give you high blood pressure. Who knows? I could mix in a little more. Okay, but then, now I'm going to dump this. Don't go sparingly with your flour. Use a lot of flour. So I'm going to run my noodles out on that. Yeah, I just like to get everything out of my bowl because I'm wasting out, want not. I'll just start mixing in by hand, and you knead it till you get it heavy enough where you think it might, you can roll it out without it sticking all over everything. Does anybody know how many noodles this is going to make? A lot. A lot of noodles. Now, if you ever look this up on the internet, see how to make noodles, it won't look anything like this. Because I looked it up once and I thought, oh, my way's better. So here I am. Okay, now I'm going to let this set just a little bit and then I'll roll them out. Now what I'm going to do is cut this in half because my counter isn't big enough. And I will put this on a plate. And now I have to get my rolling pin. I didn't have that out. Now is when it gets messy. Roll them out really thin. Keep a lot of flour on it so they won't stick on the table. I tried this on one of those rolling mats one time, but it's not big enough. It's getting bigger. And that's what she said. Nasty grandma. Okay. Now I make sure there's a lot of flour on them. And underneath so they won't stick. I could get a little edge here. Okay, I have my cutting board and a knife and flour all over me. I told you it'd get worse. And here's how I cut my noodles. Some people roll them. I cut them in little strips. And then you got to make sure there's a lot of flour in between. See what they do if you don't, it sticks. And we'll just stack these up. And now I'm stacking these, and then I put flour on my little board here. And now, brush some flour aside. Now, if you don't have an electric knife, I feel sorry for you, because you could stand here all day, but I do. It's old. And it was my turkey knife for Thanksgiving and my cutting foam for upholstery back in the 80s. And here it is. Here we go. You can make thin ones or fat ones. Oh, that's kind of fat. Okay, now I'm going to fluff these up with a lot of flour. I cut those kind of thicker. Maybe it's because I'm nervous because I'm going to be a star. We'll let those just lay out and dry a little bit. I buy, when chicken's on sale, like thighs and legs, or those quarter pieces, I buy them and I boil them. I save the broth. And I'll show you what I add to the broth to make it better. But I save the broth to cook the noodles and the chicken in. But you'll always have to add a little extra, but I'll show you about that when we do it. I saved my chicken broth. I'm going to skim off just a little bit of the chicken fat because I'd rather have real butter. Okay, it works for other things besides holding spoons. Okay. There's my broth. Now, we'll have to turn that and get it going to a boil before I can put in my noodles. So I will clean myself up, have a glass of wine, and I'll be right back. While we were breaking, I finished cutting up the noodles, so now I have a double batch on the table. I had broth enough for only half a pan. So when I don't have enough broth for the amount of noodles I have, I use like chicken seasoning base, broth base, and this is a really good brand. And so I will put that in here. Now I have enough broth. Now we'll set this aside and I'll show you how to put the noodles in this because this has to heat up and I need to put my chicken in. And the chicken's already in here. Okay, and this I've already put my chicken in, and this one will come to a boil now, and I'll put my chicken in there. And I'm going to have chicken left over. Now we're going back to the noodle table, and I'll show you what I do. Because, another relic from the past, my mother's sifter. Okay, if you put all this flour in with your broth, you'd have nothing but glue. So, what I do, I put my noodles in, shake some of the flour off. What trouble women have to go through to keep their family fed and fat. Okay, I'll do that much, because this pot's ready to go. Now you sprinkle this in little by little, so they don't stick together. And you kind of have to guess how big they're going to swell up to see how thick your broth is going to be. Because the flour does make your broth. See how nice and yellow those are? Food coloring makes a big difference. The flour is going to thicken the soup. Then we'll add some butter and pepper. Now we have to let these just cook down for a while. Give them 15 minutes probably. I'm going to add some pepper. I love pepper. And I'm going to add, hold that shot right there. I'm going to add some real butter. And this dish happens to be my son-in-law's grandmother's butter dish. I bought at her auction. See, I like old things. That's a good thing. Okay, we'll let that just enough so it's bubbling, and stir it often so the noodles don't stick to the bottom. So now it's just a waiting game, kiddos. So take a break. Let's give it a try here. We're finished, friends. And kitties, look at that. Isn't that wonderful? The best way to eat these chicken and noodles is over a big pile of mashed potatoes. Put a little pepper on, as Emerald would say, bam. How's that? There it is.